She called by the way.
Yeah, I didn't.
Kids getting close. Yeah, it's getting close to her. It has to be them, but the one from the high rise. Hey, that's two to the station today, two to my phone, and now two to you. So what? They apply already.
Yeah, she's picking up us. We're trying to break this. That's
Okay, we're going to call to order the March 16th regular city council meeting of the city of Shamokin. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we do roll call, please?
Councilwoman Arnold,
Here.
Councilman DeGenitz,
Here.
Councilman Kaler,
Here.
Councilman Shuck, and Mayor McLaughlin.
Here.
4 present, 1 absent.
Do we have any presentations?
No, sir.
Do we have any bids?
No, sir.
Correspondence?
No, sir.
Do we have any citizens' comments contingent upon business listed on the agenda? No. Okay. So I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes of the City of Shamokin Council meetings from November 24th, 2025, which was a special council meeting, February 17th, 2026, special council meeting, February 23rd, 2026, regular council meeting, and February 26th, 2026, special council meeting.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Anything on the question? Roll call.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Councilwoman Arnold,
Yes.
Councilman DeGenitz,
Yes.
Councilman Kaler,
Yes.
Councilman Shuck, absent. Mayor McLaughlin,
Yes.
motion passes unanimous.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to approve the bills from the February 2026 as listed on the bill list.
Motion. I'll second.
Anything on the question?
I just want to clarify that 1328 H&P construction repairs on the third floor of the gym that you'll see on the bill list for where it says library. That money was, we had a break, radiator pipe break, and it was fixed. And that's why that bill is so high up there. It is repaired.
Thank you. So, roll call.
Sorry.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The PPNL, 12326, from illumination station, bathhouse, and city pools electricity, still high at 671. I think last month it was like 4 something, now it's 671. It still seems so high.
Where is that for?
Illumination station.
Bathhouse and city pool,
So that's all,
Under recreation.
right. 0302 check.
Is it 2 locations?
Yeah, those are different.
It looks like Claude Keeler Park, illumination station, bathhouse, and city pool electricity. I do know that, the pool, they have security lights and security cameras running there all the time, as well as Claude Keeler Park has security cameras and security lights, so unfortunately, the electric has to stay on for them. And at illumination station, and that is very low wattage,
Right,
would
last
be
month's
energy
bill-
efficient with that.
Last month was 449, now we're 671.
right, but there was also, last month on most bills, there was a surcharge for the storm.
Yes.
So that happened on quite a bit. Needless to say, I don't have that bill in front of me, but we have to look at the line items on the bill, which we most certainly can. But I'd almost bet that that's what the reasoning is.
If I'm thinking of the correct account, my understanding was that there was a surcharge, because we now have an energy supplier, and if we aren't using up to a certain capacity, there's an extra charge, but then it's lower in the future when we are at capacity, is the idea. Do I have that right, John?
Generally.
Basically, that was why the bathhouse one was so high, so I'm assuming something similar may be going on with the other.
Thank you.
Assume that because that's when that's not getting used.
Yeah.
So,
You have to get a certain capacity, and if you don't, then there's a surcharge. But we're not at peak times, particularly with regard to the pool. They're not operating at peak usage right now. When they do, the cost will go.
Okay, thank you.
You satisfied with that, Angie? Okay.
Roll call, please.
I have one.
Oh,
I'm sorry. So our library and our gymnasium are both in the Legion building. And it's my understanding that the utility bills are coming out of recreation.
in the public buildings, it's not Department of Recreation.
But should they not be split between the library and the recreation account, being that the library also uses those utilities?
I believe they are.
I think Mr. Duganis is right.
I think the library ones,
That's why
would be
they're
paid
so
from the
low.
library, but the recreation ones, for the Legion building, they are supposed to be paid out of the Legion account. But that only has a very
That's
small
what it
amount of
was.
funding, and so
So that
we have to pay it out of the library.
So
And
what's,
that's been like that, as long as I can, what she just said to you was how does that happen?
okay, so my question would be, why do we have the Legion account, other than to have $250 a month dropped into it? Why can't we just put that into either a library or recreation and get rid of the Legion account altogether?
that would be something we can discuss at the next workshop, okay? But thank you. Good point. Okay, so we still need our roll call.
Councilwoman Arnold?
Yes.
Councilman Duganis?
Yes.
Councilman Kaler?
Yes.
Councilman Shuck? And Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes.
The motion carries unanimous.
Okay. Directors' reports, accounts and finance.
Mr. Shuck is not here, Mayor. If there's anything anyone has in particular, I'll be glad to talk with Mr. Shuck tomorrow. and either he or I can set something up by telephone or in person to discuss that,
Okay.
okay?
Parks and public buildings.
I have a couple of things. Food distribution for the month of February went very well. It was very cool. 188 individuals or 188 families is what we served. So that worked out very well. Our next food distribution will be next Friday, not this Friday. I made the mistake of putting it down for this Friday, going, oh my goodness, and then they were like, fourth Friday of the month is next Friday. So it is March 27th from noon to 2 at Claude Keeler Park. We will help you out with your applications or anything. Just stop by. If you're not sure if you're eligible or anything, we'll work with you there. The swimming pool is taking applications for lifeguards. If you go onto the city webpage at City Hall, you can find out more information there. So we're getting ready for the next season. They're going to be setting up and preparing for the new season, and I'll give an update to that at the next council meeting. So first we have to get the lifeguards because they have more training to do, but then we're going to be looking for painting and getting things ready for this incoming season. SYBL, the regular season is finished. Some teams are still using the gym for their awards, pizza parties, and then we also have, I have kids that are on all-star travel teams that are also practicing up there. So even though SYBL is finished, there are still people using the facilities. So it's just not as busy as it is on the regular season. The Easter egg hunt, we will be filling the Easter eggs March 23rd. If anybody would be available, many hands make light work, and trust me, we're gonna need it because we've got 25,000 eggs to fill. And that takes a while. And it'll be at the Springfield Banquet Hall, and that'll start at 5 p.m. Thank you to Mrs. Brown. It's her annual Easter egg hunt, and that will be on April 4th. The hunt starts at 1 p.m. sharp. I say do not be late if you want to go, because by 1:02, there's not an egg in sight. So,
With regard to that, Brady Fire update, I'm willing to donate additional 10,000 of eggs for food kids choose to fill them.
oh,
Sorry, where do you say that's taking place at the,
it's Springfield Banquet Hall.
okay, not.
Yeah, the Eckers still need their hall open for filling the eggs. You mean?
Oh, okay, for filling the eggs.
Yes, the Easter egg is at Volunteer Park, right across the street from the Claude Keeler Park. And at 11 to 5, the same day as the Easter egg hunt, which is April 4th, is Shamokin Warms My Heart. And that'll be at the Claude Keeler Park this year. So feel free to come down. Let's all think spring and have a great time. United Way Day of Action and Rosalind King Day, Metal Mania. Well, the Friday before Rosalind King Day, which is Earth Day. I just got a brain fart. And that is
What is the 22nd?
the 22nd. Okay. Well, that Friday, United Way Day of Action, I took the liberty of registering again. Last year, I had 40 students from the high school that came. I took the liberty of asking again, registering with the United Way. I'm in there, and I got a response back that we're gonna have 30 kids this year. I'll be working with Kevin to get that again with the mulch. Last year, they did a fantastic job, mulched everything on Market Street. They cleaned up the playgrounds, put new mulch in the playgrounds and everything, so I'll be getting all that together again this year. On personal notes, I'd like to thank the first responders and our police department. We had an incident at the Transfiguration Church last week, and if it weren't for the action of our police department and our first responders, that could have been much worse. They came out there and they got it right away. And when I talked to Father Mark from Transfig, he is absolutely thrilled with the response that they've gotten, and so I want to thank them again. And also, this one's a little personal because my son is in the Navy. I would just ask the public and everybody here, please pray for our troops. It's a very trying time right now, and I think they can use a lot of prayers, and a lot of love. And that's all I have.
So, Mike, do we advertise the lifeguards hiring in the paper? or on
Yeah,
our
the city
Facebook page?
webpage and it's on Facebook.
Okay, thank you. That's it? Okay, streets and public improvements.
Just a few things. The street sweeper schedule has been finalized. It will be the same as last year. It will be on the city Facebook page in the next few days. It will also be at City Hall and published in the news item for everybody. Our 5 private parking lots that we have throughout the city are now properly posted. So if you do not have the proper placard on your dashboard, you will be ticketed and towed at the owner's expense. These steps that lead from Clay Street to Pearl Street, there are about 7 steps that are actually crumbling. So we do have caution tape and orange fencing at the bottom and top of them, so they cannot be used until they are repaired. And that repair will be done by the city street department in the very near future. The 99 steps and Patsy's Bridge steps have recently been reopened since the winter months have hopefully are gone. So they are able to be used. Recycling continues, so anybody interested in obtaining any kind of recycling canisters can either call or visit City Hall to get on the list, and we will get them to you. And that is all I have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Public safety.
Okay, for the code office for the month of February, we have for total revenue collected, $30,437. For complaints addressed, 147. Warnings, 15. Notice of violation sent is 59. Rental inspection completed is 12. Posted unfit is 2. Stop work order is 2. Tickets issued is 21. Citations issued 60. Fire call 6. And for the fire total is, for the month is 48. I left my paper in my Jeep. So for the, just some of the things that we've been working on with the fire. So the Shamokin Fire Bureau handled 18 calls this week. It was a very busy week. Engine 11 was sent to fire rescue for some pump repairs. Ladder 32 had some repairs done on, we had pump by blip. We had a weekly fire training. Attack 12 was taken out of service. Rescue 62 is covering for Rescue 5, which is out of service. Engine 33 had some repairs done to the air system. And that is all I have.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Controller.
Well, so we have been able to save up to date and projected for the next 12 months, roughly $27,000 by going through the budget and renegotiating city services. This idea that this council is wasteful of money and is just spending recklessly, it's ridiculous. And furthermore, the idea that our police should lose their jobs so that we can balance our budget is insane to me. They already go without things that other police departments go without. They're one of the lowest, if not the lowest paid in the entire state. And to cut their jobs and slash the department to balance the budget would be irresponsible. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Treasurer.
Yes, we have 2 months reports of the best that can be done. The first one is the general fund. we attempted to reconcile, there was like 4 entries that have gone, it has as a result of not being done by their predecessor. And also, Val was attempting, as time permits, to complete that, which is necessary for me to pursue the issue of the general fund. I thought I was able to get it today, but it didn't work out. Anyhow, there was 2 that were able to be reconciled, and that's the liquid fuels. The January report, I'm gonna flip-flop between January and February to make these easier. $242,977.45 was for the month of January, which is left. And currently there is, as of February, February, we have $207,956.02. And leaving the balance in those respective areas the same. If you would turn the page, the tax account currently has, January, well, we'll say it here, $60,282.32. That was February's, and January's is $60,080 even. It should be noted that I have not, as of yet, been able to get any of the other accounts to address the reconciliation. I am still locked out of them. Val has attempted to the intercession of Brenda Scandal to unlock some of the features to do that, and we basically fell on deaf ears. So I'm still locked out of roughly 30 accounts, can't reconcile them. And Val was unable to because she's not the administrator, and Brenda Scandal is still the administrator of QuickBooks. We are unable to unlock those features, or it impedes on my job as well as Val's and cities. That's as far as the treasurer report is concerned, because there was no access whatsoever. I don't know if you people are aware, but the city of Shamokin is, its priority order is number 21 as far as the county is concerned with the reassessment of taxes under their auspices. And they are, the percentage of the parcels that they will be reviewing in the city is 8.68% this spring, and that's 4,293 households in order to obtain a reasonable amount of increase in funds, or I don't envision it coming down, but, that's the county's end of it.
How many properties? I'm sorry, 4,000?
4,293, which is 8.68%. I have a list, if anybody wants, got copies of it, of every municipality in Northumberland County. And I guess Cole Township, just since it's an adjoining issue here, they are at 10.44%, and they are going to remove 5,164.
Mr. Calvich, would you please, and if you don't have time, if you share that with me, I'll make copies for everybody's mailbox.
Yes, please. Yeah.
If I may, the document that you handed out with the, I guess, your reconciliation or your report as you have it so far, did you hand that out to somebody? Okay. Can I get a copy of that?
I just wrote it over my.
Thank you. About the QuickBooks situation, I'd just like to clarify that is on the agenda today to designate me as the QuickBooks administrator. A lot of the issues have to do with the company into it themselves. They require a lot of verification before they can switch anything over. So one of the things that we're trying to do to help you that along is to formally designate me as the administrator.
Let me add, once we get that process done, the rest of this is very simple.
Well, hopefully that'll be done today, so.
I have one other element, and that's, and if you concur, Mr. Slavy, as we talk, if that should be an element that before the executive session, with regard to the incident that occurred on Friday.
In regards to what?
The incident that occurred on Friday.
Okay. For council's information, I, as the administrator, will be requesting a executive session at the conclusion of this meeting. And that is for personnel reasons.
So a couple of questions there. Rick, you mentioned the amount of properties. Is that percentage possibly the percentage from the county, not the percentage of?
That's what the county intends to review, is in my understanding.
The 8%?
The
Right, but then you have a figure there. What was that figure again?
4,293 parcel count.
Because according to what I'm seeing here on one of our fleet reports, there's roughly 3,500 properties, taxable properties in Shamokin. So that seems like that's a lot more than. Yeah, that's. So that must be,
This was just kind of.
so that's the percent of the total parcels in this.
And that's what was.
Okay.
Mayor, I also need an executive session regarding contracts.
So we're doing with
You're done, Rick?
Yes.
Okay. Chief of Police.
Mr. Mayor, Council. I hand out everyone a packet. If anyone has any questions on that, feel free to ask. For the February 2026 report, 33 criminal complaints were filed, 7 non-traffic, 10 traffic citations, 4 traffic warnings issued, 489 parking tickets, 53 parking citations, 646 CAT calls. Total calls were 1,139, and miles patrolled were 2,661.
And for now, Chief?
Yeah, unless anyone has any questions, I'll be more than glad to try and answer them for you.
There are going to be a couple questions, but I'm going to wait till that gets to my part.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you.
Yep.
CEDACOG.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First of all, Chief, last month you handed out the light up pedestrian
Yes.
signs. I did submit that to SGA, who's working on the design for downtown, and they're incorporating it. So it's
Excellent.
just changing the price a little bit, but they're incorporating it.
Good, thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. I have nothing for action for tonight for council, for your consideration. However, I did want to let you know that this Wednesday from 6 to 7:30 at Casey Club at the Knights of Columbus, I just put Knights F Columbus, I just realized, sorry about that, 400 East Independence Street. And this is to give a little bit of an overview of what has happened here with the city of Shamokin since CEDACOG came about back in 2019. This is actually funded through EPA Brownfields, and we're going to be talking about our newest initiative, which is area-wide planning. But we'd really like the folks to come out, share what their vision is for the community, what they would like to see, ask any questions of what's going on with this or that grant. This is your time. So this Wednesday from 6 to 7:30, there's no virtual option. It's please come down there to Knights of Columbus. But once again, this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Something else is we will have the groundbreaking for Independence Street Streetscape Phase 1, and that is from 9th Street to Liberty Street sometime at the end of April. We're still trying to coordinate with Congressman Buser's office. That project has to be done by next fall, 2027. So just for any property owners that have anything between 9th and Liberty Street, just keep in mind there's going to be a lot of work being done within the next 2 years there.
Can we put like a notice to them as soon as, so they know about parking in front of their places?
Yep, there'll be something that we have to put out there, PennDOT will require it too. Yes, so we're literally just waiting to hear back from the congressman about when he can be here for the groundbreaking. We're hoping it's gonna be either April 20th or 21st, but keep you posted. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, there's two other things actually. So thank you very much last month for approving the city to go forth with the Act 167 Local Historic District designation. So the city is working with the EDA folks and your downtown manager, Justin Bainbridge. So what will happen next is the EDA group is going to come up with a proposed area for your designation. That comes back to the city. You all get to look at it. If you don't agree, and they have to provide backup information too, data of why they want that. If you don't approve that, it goes back to EDA. Once you do approve it, then it goes to your planning department. So that's where they come in, and then it goes to county planning, and then there's a public meeting. But this is all totally allowable. There's no cost to the city. And but thank you very much for that. And then the other thing that, this is not new, but last year I applied for $3.3 million through Congressman Senator Fetterman's office. We weren't successful. That was for the American Legion building. So I'm just reapplying, but this time I'm going to reapply to all the offices. Same amount of money, and it's on your update sheet on the second page for $3.359690. And it's, for fiscal year 27, so we won't know if we're successful till sometime next year, but thank you, Val. I'll be sending more letters and supports for you to have signed, but, so that's all that I have going on. Any questions for me?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you please explain to the public the grant?
Thank you.
When we receive a grant for a specific purpose, okay, the simplified process and what can be done with the money that we receive that grant.
Sure. So first of all, let's say we're going to talk about a park project. Let's bring up the bridge, for instance, okay? So that's through DCNR C2P2. And that can only be used for a park project, okay? It can't be used for anything else. Then, when you apply, you are giving a specific scope of work of how you're applying for. So for that, we were applying for the implementation of a bridge. When we get those funds, it's not a check that's sent to Val that she can do whatever she wants with. We have to do exactly as we've specified in the grant, per the grant guidelines. If those funds did not come to Shamokin, they'll go somewhere else for a park project, not for anything else. Those funds can't be used to balance the budget. Those funds can't be used to hire staff. Those funds, specifically DCNR, don't even go to pay for me. So I don't get any funds to write the grants or administer the grants for DCNR. There's no fluff funds whatsoever. So that's a very important note. And then I know another one that comes up a lot they're called rack keys. And that's one like Mr. Twigger got for the hotel, where it comes out in a big, check. That check means nothing. Those funds mean nothing. What happens is if you get a rack key specifically, you have to spend all of your own funds. And at the end of the project, then you have to reapply to actually get reimbursed 50%. So in order to even apply for something like that, you have to prove you have double the amount of money that you're actually even requesting. So these are very, very difficult grants to get. And then that's a very big misnomer. People think that for whatever reason, you're getting this amount of money and you can do whatever you want with it. That's not the case whatsoever. Does that help answer?
Thank you.
That helps a lot, and I have one more, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Would you please explain the funding for our downtown manager?
Sure. Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, so for the downtown manager, he was brought on to not cost the city of Shamokin a dime. Not his office, not his cell phone, not his time. We were able to get two different grants, one through Appalachian Regional Commission, ARC, for $200,000, another matching grant from DCD. So that grant keeps him funded within the city. As I said, there's zero cost to the city of Shamokin for the downtown manager. I'm not sure how that rumor got out that he was getting paid $111,000, because if he was, I'd put my job at CEDACOG and I would ask for his job. But that is not the case. But it's very important for people to know that he's 100% grant funded. The office that he's in, cell phone that he uses, everything's grant funded.
Thank you very much.
And another point, really quickly, also for the Independence Street Streetscape project, that's another one. That was through congressional appropriations through Congressman Muser. Not a dime goes to me for that. That is all 100% funded through Congressman Muser. And then we're also getting more grants, because we're gonna need a whole lot more to finish that project.
Thank you.
I have a
Again,
question.
Yes, sir.
The 400,000 that you mentioned, which is mapped, 400 matching.
Yeah.
What, is that specifically just for his business
No.
operation?
Val has the whole budget, so you can ask her, so that way we can, but that also kept CEDACOG engaged in the city. So this actually runs out June 30th of this year, but we're getting an extension because Justin, the downtown manager, was hired February of 2024, where the grant came in July 1 of 2023. So we had like 7 months before he actually got his job. So we had leftover funds to keep him funded till at least the end of the calendar year. But yeah, that also kept CEDACOG funded me to keep me funded here. So that's why in June 30th of 2026, I'm no longer funded to be here. But Justin has funds yet because he started in February. Does that make sense? Great.
perfect sense. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Before we get into new business, Mr. Manning, could you please give council the brief synopsis on the overlay for the zoning, please?
You want to do that now?
Yep, please. Because we're going to be voting on it next.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, council and administration members, thank you. I'm here tonight on behalf of the zoning rewrite committee, which one of the prior councils had hired Jeanette Fleming to shepherd the process and be your consultant. On the committee is the heads of the various government bodies, the RDA, the chair of the RDA sits on it, the chair of the zoning hearing board, the chair of the EDA, which I represent, the chair of the planning commission, and the mayor representing the city. We also have in attendance our zoning officer, and also code officers have been represented as well. Just to give you a quick background, back in, I believe it was 2022, 2023, a former council passed a zoning ordinance for the downtown central business district. We later learned that that was not fully enforceable because it had not gone through all the proper steps. So once we learned that and we knew we had the zoning rewrite consultant in place, we decided to take that original piece that the EDA presented to the former council, bring it to the zoning committee, and then take it from there so that we go through the proper process. The zoning rewrite committee took that ordinance up, and it was asked to be fast-tracked by the mayor in order to be in place for this season. What you want to call it, the construction season, spring and summer, when people tend to want to do things to their businesses, buildings, and so forth. The committee decided to do that and came up with a plan of action. It is now being referred to as the Downtown Overlay District. I don't know, Mr. Slavy, if everybody got the papers that were attached. I believe so.
Okay. I just want to reference these real briefly. There's a schedule that was included here on the process.
And then there's also a map, two maps actually, outlining the downtown overlay district. And then the definitions and the ordinance body itself. Permitted uses, non-permitted uses, and then a couple of contingencies. What we're asking for tonight, I'll take a step back for a second. Somebody had to, it was recommended by the consultant that somebody from the committee present this to council for consideration. So because it pertains to the downtown business district, the EDA was asked, and therefore, myself being the chair of the EDA, I'm here tonight to ask your consideration for this new zoning ordinance. By you taking this up, it does not mean that you approve it. It just means that you're taking into consideration. What happens at that point is then this becomes a piece of work that allows the zoning officer to say to anybody applying for zoning to say, time out, if you want to do anything from this night forward, it must go to council until this is approved and enacted. Okay, so the zoning officer in that district would not have authority to grant a zoning approval. Okay. From that point, after tonight, if you decide to take this under consideration, then this work goes to the planning commission, both here in Shamokin and also the county. And from that point, there's also some other, every business, every building in that district needs to be notified. And this all needs to be done this week. So the notifications don't need to go out this week, but the compilation of the addresses. Gannett Fleming has offered to compile those for you and give those to the administration. Let's see, anything I'm forgetting?
I think you covered pretty much all of it.
In layman's terms, when it says the planning commission shall serve the official municipal planning agency, this means you're taking this off of one man and putting it to the board, correct, to the council and to the planning commission. Like there's going to be a board there, not just one man saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, walking outside, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
With this, you know, our zoning officer has to come back to the planning commission, is that correct?
If it would be something that was covered by this plan.
Right, so he's not making the full authority, no, you can't do it, or he has to come back to the authority, is that correct?
If it's anything that says council approval, absolutely. If it says anything that would be special exception, yes.
Okay.
If it's something that can be approved by the zoning office or the zoning officer, then yes, it would be. That's, but it's very limited.
Okay.
Well,
That's the resolution that's also on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't know if your question pertained to while this is under consideration, while this is under consideration until council finally approves and passes it, which is sometime scheduled for sometime in May, at your May council meeting. Then no, the officer cannot approve it. It has to be punted to council actually.
Okay. Thank you.
My understanding. If that's your question.
Yes. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Manning?
The only one I would like to see on there is if, like, after a certain amount of time, they have to do something to the property in that area. I don't know if that's on there or not, but.
I don't know if that's a zoning matter.
Okay.
Zoning more pertains to uses and, if somebody's gonna change the use of a property or bring a business in, what type of business. Whether, like, for example, the one under consideration, basically, because it's not business district, no residential, inhabitants on the first floor, which is a very common, thing. So I think that would be more of a code issue than it is.
Okay.
Agreed.
Right.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manning.
Thank you.
Because I agree, I agree.
And then the other one, we can go together.
Okay. Under new business.
Because of
So we're gonna we'll take a motion for number 1, okay? Request a motion to increase the city-funded portion of the deputy tax collector hourly wage to $10.10 per hour, such that the total hourly wage, including the portions paid by Northumberland County and Shamokin Area School District, is equal to $19.75 as calculated based on a 56-hour pay period. This increase is retroactive to January 5th, 2026. So
I'll make the motion.
motion by Barry.
I'll second it.
Anything on the question?
Yes. We just voted on this last month.
This is in conjunction with what is already.
Right.
It's
And we said that-
basically clarifying.
And what was voted upon then was $19 an hour, depending on whatever. So now you're giving a 75-cent raise. Because it was out of all thirds, well, what was that rate supposed to be, like $9 or $9?
$9.75.
$9.75 or something like that.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, we're jumping it up to another 75 cent. I don't understand that.
That's based, Mr.
And you said $19 an hour
That's
out of the
based,
3 funds.
well, I'm sorry for that. This is based on actual figures that we have received, not only I, but she has received. I believe the tax office, Mr. Kanovich has received,
And there was also the indication, is that 50-cent raise that was to, as long as the council and that came through the county, was that part of that? or-
Yeah, that was figured in.
the last
So
2
that-
weeks, the entities involved, the school district and the county have clarified. So I just want the records to be correct. And now that we have clarification, we'll go with those numbers, and that's what's being presented to council for a vote.
It's a little deceiving because it's not the amount of the city's responsibility. It's, the full amount of exact figures that Mr. Slavy required from the county and the school district aren't reflected here, and maybe they should have been delineated to, that are clarified. I mean, it's not any due burden to put additionally onto the city.
Thank you for that. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
I do have it in our minutes from February, $19 an hour. Total
Yeah.
hourly wage is equal to $19 an hour.
Equal to $19 an
Correct.
hour.
My understanding is that the figures were wrong.
But-
After getting the figures
The
from all
numbers that were
entities,
provided to the city, and she, and along with myself, and I think you were, or somebody else was with me when I was on these calls with the school, with the county, and this here is it. These are the numbers.
Yeah, if I may, we didn't have all the information when we voted on it the first time, so we
The
couldn't
accurate
state
information.
what the city's portion was going to be.
Yes,
Now, why is it changing now? Because there's 2 different ways of calculating it. And as I understand it, the treasurer's office was calculating based on a 66-hour pay period, and at least one of those, from at least one of those 3 parties. It is a 56-hour pay period.
And there's a
So, and
difference
we're
all the way
accounting
around,
for that
too.
because he was
Everybody keeps
expecting.
changing it from the
and,
county.
and here's the problem I'm having, is because it was a request of motion to increase the city-funded portion of the deputy tax collector hourly wage such that the total hour wage is equal to $19, including a portion funded by Northumberland County and the Shamokin Area School District. So if we already voted on the 19, now you want to change it to 1975.
That's because of corrective.
I mean, I understand this, but it's hard to swallow to the taxpayers
The
that you're,
city is not paying that.
well,
We
the
are-
city's paying 1010,
Yes, so
And what is
before,
it, what's it currently?
935.
yeah, it would have been about 935 if we were calculating all of the figures based on 56-hour pay period, which technically is how one would expect to do it because it is a 56-hour pay period for that position. But I think,
But is
I
that
think
the
it was-
county hours, the school district hours, or the city hours?
well, it's one job.
No, that's not answering my question.
It's one job, so it can't be both. It is a 56-hour job.
Excuse me, but all of the respective offices, county,
Yes.
city, and school district are all different hours.
Yeah, well, calculated hourly rate,
One of them
497.
doesn't specify hours, and the other one says 66, and that is most likely a typographical error on their part because they actually pay him on a salary basis, so the number of hours doesn't really affect anything, but they have 66 somewhere in their payroll system. But it should be 56 because that's what the job entails.
So this is correcting what we did last month.
Yes.
Okay,
Because, Mayor, we have now been able to receive from those entities.
the proper information.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we do have a motion. We do have a second. We had a question.
And this
Roll call.
has nothing to, I am not, Paul has been a very good, this is nothing personal to him. He helped us out with the whole treasurer thing, so please, I hope he doesn't take this personal.
Absolutely.
So the 935 was based on a 63-hour.
On a 66-hour pay period from the county, yes. Well, no, the 935 is based on attempting to get a total of $19 an hour from all three sources, based on a 56-hour pay period from all three sources. Now, Mr. Miller calculated it based on 66 hours, which led him to come up with a lower hourly rate from the county, and therefore, the city had to increase the hourly rate more to meet that based on his expectations from 66 hours. And I think that's in a memo that you all should have received that can explain that.
7 hours per day, 4 days per week, equals 28 hours, that's 56 hours bi-weekly.
That's correct.
Okay, so we have the motion. We have a second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Arnold,
I have to say no.
abstain.
I'm saying no.
Oh, no? Okay,
No.
I'm sorry. Councilman Duganez,
No,
Councilman Kaler,
No.
Councilman Shepherd is absent, Mayor LaBlanca.
Yes.
There are 3 nays, 1 absent, and 1 nay. The motion is compliant.
Question. What if he walks tomorrow?
Well, that would be his prerogative, not by any means our choice or wish. I guess we could always go back to the drawing board if we need to clarify it further. He would still be, if I'm correct, he would still be
it's
getting his
$19 and
$19 per hour based on the last month's.
He actually told me that I think there's a discrepancy in how this is being presented. And he verbalized that to us right before we came up.
So you're talking,
He was
70 cents.
he was concerned, no, I'm not saying he told me he was walking.
Mhm.
I'm saying that he told me the way it's presented in the documentation might pose issues or questions before council. So he doesn't feel that the way it was presented in the verbiage here, which is after the fact, as I didn't see it, we didn't see it, so to be able to talk to Mr. Slater or anybody else at the treasurer's office, so.
So if we need to, we can revisit this again next month, if that be the case. Okay?
I just want to state for the record that I, in my office, did the first time based on the information that was provided to us by individuals or individuals plural. And we tried to do what was right, and now you have rejected it, so be it.
I just want to say, Mr. Kanovich, I think, it is a matter of 75 cents. And I think that's why we presented it, to have that formally approved. I don't think anybody wants him to walk over 75 cents, so that's why we, instead of just rejecting it out of hand, that's why we bring it to council for consideration and approval. In my personal opinion.
Okay,
They spoke.
thank you. So we can do, does anyone have an issue with doing 2 through 7 in a bulk? Is there any questions or any concerns on 2 through 7?
Motion?
If not, I'll accept the motion for items 2 through 7 under new business.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Anything on the questions on items 2 through 7?
Yeah, on the Clover Cassius payment, how much does that cost the city to have that?
I can answer that. So from my communications with their representative, and our discussions at the workshop, we were looking to get 2 to 3 machines at $2.99 a piece, and then from that point forward, it doesn't cost us anything. They collect a 3% per transaction fee from the customer, just like Pay.gov does.
So there ain't no monthly fee or nothing like
Not
that?
that I know of, and I will double check on
Like I
that.
said, that would be the only thing I was questioning.
Yeah, if it comes back that there is, I'll let you know right away.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on 2 through 7? If not, roll call.
Councilwoman Arnold,
Yes.
Councilman Buchanan,
Yes.
Councilman Kaler,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes.
The motion carries 4 yeas.
Okay, then we'll take item number 8. Request a motion to hire a candidate for part-time tax office's support position. Just want to stress that this is not a new position. This is replacing a person that's been in the tax office for years. He retired at the end of 2025, and we are hiring a new person in his place.
That's correct.
That would have been Mr. Haddock. correct?
Yes, yes.
Do we have an amount for that, by chance?
We just, did we finalize that $15?
Just because,
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's out there.
And we can most certainly include that.
Okay. I just want to make sure that was out there.
And do we have the name of the candidate yet, or has that not happened?
Ashley Open.
Yes,
And she has accepted the position?
yes, sir.
Okay, so then we'll request a motion to hire Ashley Holcomb at $15 an hour as the candidate for the part-time tax office support position.
And the city portion of that, I believe, is $767. It was voted on last month.
That's correct.
And her start date is March 23rd.
When is your start date? March?
March 23rd.
Has the paperwork been secured for the school district
I'm working on that.
and the county?
Yeah, I'm working on that as well. If you have anything in your office that you can bring over to the personnel office, that would make it
Actually-
easier, but
I defer that to our office, because when I was under the situation, I completed through Paul that very same documentation. So it doesn't feel that it is within your jurisdiction.
Personnel issues should by law be handled.
Well, if you would see that under third-class city code, that the treasurer.
You have the right to appoint a deputy tax collector, she supports that.
Okay, yeah, and again, we most certainly work on particulars, but anything on, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
So we have Ange on the motion
I'll second.
and Barry. Anything else on the question? If not, roll call.
Councilwoman Arnold,
Yes.
Councilman Buchanan,
Yes.
Councilman Kaler,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin,
Yes.
the motion carries unanimous. No, I'm sorry. For one one absent.
Yes, you're for all, yes. Or for who's here, right?
Correct.
Okay, so same thing on the events. We can do this in bulk. We can do 1 through 7. If there's no issues or concerns,
These were all confirmed through, chief.
Yes, sir.
And they were all discussed at the workshop.
so with that being said, I'll take the motion for 1 through 7 to approve the events.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions in regards to any of those that the mayor has put out there, number 1 through 7?
The only thing I'll throw out there, I know that Rap House had mentioned at the workshop that they may be taking up a little bit further. They might be going from Shamokin Street to 9th Street, but I don't think that's been fully determined yet.
That's what I was just asking chief, and
I know there was discussion of it, and honestly, from what we had till then, I don't see an issue. We'll just pre-plan like we did before. It'll actually give us a little more room to not congested in there.
Walter, do you know what the footprint yet is, the final footprint for?
It's all depends on your construction too,
Okay,
you know, so it's just how we'll go with the flow, whatever you guys.
and we have time,
Yeah,
yeah, we have time to adjust that if we need to.
that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Then,
just
we have,
chief is aware for public safety issues.
so we have the motion and the second, roll call.
Mrs. Arnold,
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. Kaler,
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin,
Yes.
the motion carries unanimous.
Anything under unfinished business?
Yeah, I would like to add, we, through negotiating energy contracts, done by Mr. Manning, were able to save, for the period of January, the month of January, compared to last year, $132. So that's a good sign, and I'm assuming that will continue in the coming months.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Do we have anything under boards and committees?
Other boards, Mayor, I received notification in person this afternoon from Michael Dietz, who was on our zoning board, and he is submitting his resignation effective immediately, and no longer wants to be a member of that board. So with that said, you should take a vote to either accept or reject the resignation.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mayor.
To do that, do we have to amend the agenda?
We would need to amend the agenda.
We'll have to wait until next.
That's good. We should have done that at the very
I'm
beginning.
sorry.
Yep, we should have done that at the very beginning. So we'll just put that on for our next month.
That's correct.
But in the meantime, needless to say, if there's anyone interested
Sure.
in being on the zoning board, zoning hearing board, needless to say, please reach out to either City Hall or someone on council to let us know that. Anything else under boards and committees?
We'll also put something on the city's web page if that position is open.
Okay, thank you.
No, I don't have anything else in regards to that.
Okay. So before we get into citizens' comments, I just have a few things I want to go over. I remember Shamokin as a child. Our city was bustling, our citizens were all hardworking and proud. Every property in town was well kept and maintained. We had coal mines and factories overflowing with workers. Independence Street, Market Street, Sunbury Street, and Shamokin Street were lined with businesses. The people were all friendly and law-abiding, at least for the most part. Life was wonderful. We didn't even need locks on our doors. But then things changed. The mines and factories closed or moved. A lot of our citizens then relocated to follow the better paying jobs. Our population shrank, and so did our tax base. Businesses closed because of the loss of customers. Our city has been trying to overcome this for over 4 decades, and we couldn't. In the 60s, when I was a child, Shamokin had over 12,000 residents. Today, we are down to approximately 7,000. That's a 40% drop in population. The city has not raised property taxes since 2015, mostly because the state laws did not allow us. We were at the maximum mills allowed by law. When the city was in Act 47, that allowed us to levy an additional 1% EIT tax that netted the city approximately $750,000 at that time. That, along with budget cuts, allowed the city to balance the budget for 10 years. But our deficit has been growing because our costs have been growing like everyone else's. $1 in 2015 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $1.37 today, an increase of 37 cents over 11 years. This means today's prices are 1.37 times as high as average prices since 2015, and climbing as the rate of inflation keeps rising. I know a lot of you are unhappy about the local property tax increase. Myself and council are not happy about it either. It affects all of us and our families as well. Currently, 75%, 2,400 properties of our residential property owners pay under $1,000 per year for city property tax. That's with the increase. Only 10%, 269 properties pay over $1,500 per year. These are residential properties. That means 90% of the property owners in Shamokin will be paying between $85 to $125 more per month for police, fire, code, public works, and public facilities. Not more per month, I'm sorry, per month. That is less than most people pay for cell phones, cable, satellite, internet, takeout, or cigarettes a month. I'm not in any way making light of this. I'm just trying to put it into perspective. This tax increase was in no way retribution because of home rule being failed, as some have speculated. The failure of home rule just left us with only 2 viable options. Council, myself, and our state advisors discussed either borrowing funds and raising taxes or making drastic cuts to services. I want to take a few minutes and listen to a few of our department heads on how those cuts would have affected services. So, Bruce, would you please come up and speak on behalf of the fire department? Go ahead.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, well, the biggest question I would have, okay? Can you tell us how cutting the fire budget by 50% would affect the department?
50%. Well, just right off the top of my head, fire hydrants need to be paid for. That's the biggest part of the fire bureau's budget. I believe it's right around $50,000 a year. We need all of our fire hydrants. We could use a lot more. Just in the last 2 weeks, 3 of our fire department vehicles broke down. One is completely out of service, is in Harrisburg right now getting pump repairs. A 50% cut in the budget would probably mean right now we'd be short a ladder truck and 2 pumpers. We only currently have 4 engines, 1 ladder truck, and a rescue truck. So that's a pretty big drop. It would drastically cut regular maintenance, tires, batteries, inspections, the little things that just normally break on the machine itself, on the vehicles themselves. And recently, in the past 30 days, we've had 7 Scott air packs that broke. One of them cost $2,700 to get fixed. That was all just from fires this year. Multiple pieces of equipment were lost or damaged or destroyed in several fires right this year. I mean, that definitely cut that back. Our calls are going up, way up. In the last 6 days, the fire department responded to 22 fire calls. Last 7 days, I'm sorry. Also, a 50% cut would definitely mean less fire equipment can be purchased, which we all know that's expensive. And there'll be less training available to our firefighters to keep certified firefighters to do interior firefighting work.
So could you answer 3 more questions?
Sure, go ahead.
The price of a Scott air pack.
Price of the Scott Air Pack is just shy of $10,000, and we have roughly 45 of them.
And 45 of what age?
2004 is the newest ones we have.
So our firefighters are going into a burning building with these packs.
Price of a brand new engine.
Brand new engine. We just did this with Betsy. It was, I believe, $981,000 last year, 2 years ago. So well over $1 million right now without bells and whistles. The plain Jane.
And the age of our engines.
Our engines right now, all 4 of them. The newest one is, I believe, 25 years old. The oldest one is just about 35 years old now.
Ladder.
The ladder truck's a 2011, so that's almost at its end of its life cycle. That's usually 20 years for that.
And the price of a ladder.
Price of the ladder truck right now, almost $2 million.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Rogers?
A 50% cut, what would that mean for firefighter safety specifically?
Right now, we're stretched thin. Like I said, the air pack thing's pretty bad. To replace, if we had to replace all our air packs, we're talking, I'm not good with math, $370,000, $380,000.
So
You can't have interior firefighters without air packs and proper gear. Something else I didn't mention, a complete set of turnout gear, helmet, coat, pants, boots, gloves, probably about $14,000, $15,000 just for one firefighter.
So if we cut the budget 50%, we would knowingly be putting our firefighters at risk of losing their
Yep,
jobs.
and you would probably, without proper maintenance and care, your antique fire trucks would probably be parked.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Bruce, how hazardous or dangerous is it for a firefighter to be going into a burning building with a 22-year-old air pack?
Very dangerous. Like I said, we've had so many of them break in the past month or 2 months, I believe. The whole total number in the last 6 months, I think it's 24, 25 air packs have been repaired.
Would you say it's life-threatening?
Oh yeah, very. That's the only thing that keeps firefighters alive inside of a burning building is the air pack and their protective gear.
What about the dangers of a firefighter going into a burning building with outdated turnout gear?
Out there, that's something that our turnout gear is exceeding its limits on some. We've had a lot of turnout gear due to heat that would break down. We've had firefighters with burns on their necks, shoulders, their arms, their backs. Just because the turnout gear gets that brittle, it just kind of, you put your finger right through it.
What does that cost to replace?
The turnout gear, that's like $15,000 for the coat, the pants, the boots, gloves, and a helmet.
So realistically, $15,000 per firefighter.
Per firefighter, yeah. And right now, with, I consider active firefighters, they run at least 5 or 10 calls a year. We have 90 total, but we have about 40 that run a lot of calls. So 40 good active firefighters.
And NFPA is 10 years.
Yeah, the turnout gear, that should be replaced after 10 years. That's for all for firefighter safety. Thanks, John.
And Chief, one more thing with that, with John said, another thing is the liability of the insurance issue.
Oh, yeah.
If you have outdated gear air packs and God forbid there's an injury or a firefighter fatality,
Without getting,
NIOSH will absolutely.
without getting into too much detail, very recently, we've had a firefighter with serious injuries. They wanted his air pack, they wanted his turnout gear, they wanted the serial numbers, dates of manufacture, all of his equipment. And I'm pretty sure you probably all know that. That was a day we had 2 working structure fires within 4 hours. And
Thank you very much. Ms. Hinkle, would you please step up to the microphone? I know you're new at this in the code office, but being that you've been there now for pushing a year,
Yep, July 24th I started.
what would happen to the code office if we were to cut the budget by 50%?
I have a couple things noted because I had a good bit of time to think on this myself. So I'm gonna read off my note here. Code enforcement, here, actually wrong paper. Complaint response times would significantly increase because residents will report unsafe conditions, garbage issues, property maintenance concerns. They'd likely wait much longer for, say, inspections or follow-ups. Rental inspections would occur less frequently. Inspections of local rental properties are important because we ensure that tenants are living in safe conditions. I personally do rental inspections at this time. I check for stuff like leaks, electrical hazards, structural issues, and fire safety concerns. Safety risks in rental properties can and will go unnoticed. Follow-ups on violations would fall behind because one person cannot track ongoing violations for the entire city. Direct contact and responsiveness becomes harder because right now with me, there's another card for people to grab in our office. So that's another contact, another email, another person to talk to and address issues. And another thing I'd like to mention is code enforcement isn't just one visit to a property. Most cases require multiple inspections, notices being sent, follow-ups, and sometimes court action. Each property can represent several hours of work over time. Reducing the code office back down to one full-time officer doesn't change the workload. It affects the time spent and focus on each case. The workload doesn't disappear if the position does. It simply becomes more than one person can reasonably manage.
And if we were to do that, what do you think the chances of us going backwards with our garbage and our rental inspections, knowing who is in the rental units? What do you think the chances of that would be?
A very high chance.
Can I ask a question? How many hours per week would you say you spend in court that you cannot get out there to get the code?
It differs per case. It differs. We're easily up there for an hour. A lot of times it's Wednesdays and Thursdays, so, we
So when
prepare
people aren't
ourselves.
seeing you, you're basically in court dealing with other issues.
That or in my office for, mailing out notices or at a rental inspection.
You mentioned fire inspections. Say we cut the budget 50% and you couldn't do those fire inspections. That would then increase the risk that we have more fires, which would then compound the problem we have with a shortage of equipment for firefighters, which would just increase the safety risk to them, correct?
Oh, it's a domino effect.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions for Danielle while she's up there? No? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I did ask Kevin Richardson to come tonight, our street department foreman, but unfortunately he had a doctor's appointment. I asked Kevin the same question. Kevin's response was they couldn't possibly operate the street department on 50% of the budget. They would never be able to do timely snow plowing because we have currently 6 trucks, 6 people to do the routes, and that would increase or make it impossible to get to areas timely. The pool would be in danger because chances are our street department would not be able to get to do the opening and closing of the pool, or we would have to farm out that job to others and pay more to get it done, which makes the swimming pool a possibility of having to close. The local events, the time and effort that go into planning, helping, putting up the blockades would more than likely have to go undone. Trash pickup that they do now currently twice a week would probably get cut to once a week. They need 4 full-time employees to do recycling. If we cut it in half, they wouldn't have enough people to do recycling. Our street department is currently 1 full-time employee down and 2 part-time employees down from where they should be. So just so, being that Kevin isn't here, just wanted to put that out there on the street department side. So that leaves, last but not least, Chief Cycling.
I don't have to go up there to it.
No, being that you're sitting there and Betsy's gonna share her microphone, even though you probably
I
don't
don't
need
need
it.
one.
Same question, Chief. What would it look like if your budget was cut 50%?
God forbid we're gonna have an officer get killed. The officer's safety is the biggest concern. Everybody knows how I feel about my people. Number two, our budget's cut in half, and no disrespect. The neighbor disputes, the snow on the pavement, the parking complaints, the kids being kids playing baseball in the street, minor thefts, traffic details, lockouts. We're not going to. We'll be a reactive department and strictly respond to emergencies only or priority calls in progress. The second part of it is cutting our budget in half. You're gonna have one person working a 12-hour shift by themselves.
And is that even possible?
No. Number one, you're gonna have to count on other municipalities to respond. The second part about it is you're potentially sending one officer to a fight involving more than one person. And again, we're gonna get police officers hurt and, God forbid, killed. Now, keeping that in mind, as soon as our people find out that our police department's getting cut, you're gonna have a nice influx of people coming into the town. Because they're not gonna be able to set up shop, there's not enough cops to handle it, and you're basically gonna have an overtaking of the kind of people that aren't desirable for the city.
Do you currently have enough staffing?
No. Currently, right now, I'm at 10 officers, including myself. Again, we have mentioned in the past, our department had anywhere between 16 to 20 officers on, and I'm going back into as early as 2006 when I came on. I was one of the 14 guys hired. Since that time, we're down to 10. Again, 14, it'd be fantastic. Let's be reasonable. You probably need 12. And what I'm saying is with 12 officers that's keeping our 2 people per shift. That's putting an additional person in during busy times. You're gonna be able to be a proactive department instead of a reactive department. Right now, if we're cut, everything suffers. The community's suffering, our arrests are gonna suffer, our prosecutions are gonna suffer, because quite frankly, we barely have enough time now to do what we have to do. In addition to that, we're not gonna have any. The second part of it is, I want everybody to keep in mind, pretty much anywhere in the city, we can get a cruiser to a house in about 2 minutes, depending on the location of our cruisers. So let's back up a couple minutes, and at 4:30 in the morning, when everybody's sound asleep, and we have a house fire somewhere in town, we're gonna have a cop there probably within about 2 minutes in fact. It has already proven the fact that we have police officers.
If you don't mind, please, could you put a percentage to how often our police department are the first people at a fire or at even ambulance call?
I'll be totally honest with you, 98% of the time.
That it would be a police officer.
Yeah.
And would that happen if we were at half staff?
Absolutely not. We wouldn't be able to respond to these calls because we would be dealing with, it's a life-saving event. A medical emergency is a life-saving event. Don't get me wrong, every call to somebody when they call us is their, a bad day in their life. The point about it is though, we're responding to cardiac arrests and having AEDs applied and doing CPR and actually having people being resuscitated prior to the ambulance arrival. And it's nothing against the ambulance. The ambulances in our area are just as busy as we are. There are times, I can recall an incident in the city where we waited an hour to get an ambulance on scene. Now, for that hour, I had 2 officers there treating the person. And again, it's no one's fault, it's just the nature of how busy we are.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Fiscally wise, the police station, the front office is open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but it's a 24-hour position.
24 hours a
24
day,
hours
7 days a
They
week.
don't take a day off.
No.
What I'm gonna say is that when we're down officers, who picks up that slack? And is that considered overtime? So it costs us more
Well,
for
number
everybody to
one,
do overtime.
number one, if I work a shift by myself, that building's locked.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna have time to walk out and deal with people in the lobby. The building's locked. Calls coming into the station won't be answered, and they'll be prioritized as to what we can get to first.
But to pick up them hours, that's more money. It costs more to not have
And then-
full staff.
And then in addition to that, we have one officer on duty, and he's in a trial for a week. Nobody's on duty. No cops are working the street.
Chief, would it be unrealistic to say that if we were to cut the police department by 50%, that parts of the city would go on patrol for periods of time?
The whole city go on patrol.
Okay.
It's not, right now, we're at a point, 80% of our patrols are done while we're responding to calls. We're watching for other things happening as we're going, and if we see them, when we clear a call, we're going back to it. It's just because you have, right now, 2 persons on a shift, okay? We're on an average daily basis,
I saw your patrol.
I believe it was last Wednesday, we had 45 calls in one day. Now, keep in mind, that's calls that we were dispatched to. That isn't officers initiating their own calls for vehicle stops or investigations, that isn't phone calls, that isn't persons on station, that isn't follows. That is just called dispatch that were called in the 911 center and they send us to the call. You know, last year, I'll just use January as an example. And basically, folks, on an average, our department's doing about 14 to 20 calls per day, dispatch calls. In addition to that, our officers are probably generating somewhere around an additional 40 calls a day. What I mean by that is that's their vehicle stops, that's their this, that's their that. So you look at that amount of call in a 12-hour period, there's not much time to do other stuff. However, the other stuff has to be done. And, you know, we talk about it, and it just don't stop at the call, because if you make an arrest, you have to do the paperwork, you have to get the charges filed, if you have to do interviews, if you have pre-trial interviews, then you have to go through a trial or a magistrate hearing. That's all time that is consumed. In January of 2025, we had 607 dispatch calls. This January, we did 747. For March, as of last night at midnight, we're at 339 dispatch calls and probably 217 self-dispatch.
And Chief, you alluded back to when you were a patrolman.
Yes,
When there were 14 officers.
yes.
How many calls a month did you have then?
We probably did about 6 calls a day.
So literally twice the volume today as it was then.
Probably true.
When
Back then, we had more officers, not as much crime. We're at a point now where we're having more crime than enough officers. And I don't want anyone to panic, but what I'm saying is Shamokin has crime. Oh, okay. Our officers try as much as they can to be proactive, and that's having the cars out of the street. The thing about it is, though, there are times that there's other things happening. Whether, you know, behind the scenes, we're assisting outside state or federal agencies. Nobody knows that, nobody sees that. There has been a lot of bad people taken out of the city last year. Bad people, okay? We can have anything from a family disturbance, and as everyone knows, unfortunately, we have homicides in the city. Okay? We had a couple of pedestrian accidents. Hopefully we're done with them. We had officers tied up for almost 9 hours straight, conducting one pedestrian accident investigation. Now, that's just the accident. That officer now, if we're going to prosecute a case, has to make the arrest, has to do his trial prep, and that's in addition to the other duties that we're doing. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say you need 50 cops. You don't. Some of us worked when there were 6 of us, okay? It's crazy. Now, the second element of that is you have a major officer safety issue. You have guys working 16-hour shifts, going home sleeping for 6 hours and coming back in, as long as they don't have court.
So then it's realistic to say with a 50% cut in the police force, we would have increased open drug use, increased drug dealing, possible
Our crimes will go through the roof.
gangs taking over sections of the city.
Our crimes will go through the roof. And it's a noted fact. Persons involved in crimes look for areas that don't have police coverage because they can blend in and go unnoticed, okay? Once other people find that out, they come into the area. So, I'm not saying it can't happen even with 35 cops. But what I'm saying is, if you have enough that you're a proactive approach, that you're out there and people see you out there doing stuff. Okay, and that's another thing, you know, and please, anybody who's on Facebook or whatever it is, I'm not allowed to be on it. I made that before I go to jail if I was on Facebook. But what people don't understand is, I love this. Well, none of the cars left the station. Okay, folks, we have more than one car. The reason that is, that's a cost-effective saving. We're not putting all the miles on one car, and Mr. Slavy will attest to it with repairs that we don't have anymore because we're utilizing the cars. All right? The second portion of this is, and again, people, there may be times the police are responding to an emergency and they don't have their lights and sirens going. We don't run our lights and sirens to all the calls. There may be times that we're going to an emergency. The second portion of that as well is, people say, well, I called the police and it took them 10 minutes to get there. That's possible. We get the special parking complaint and we're already going to a stabbing incident. Yes, all the officers know, they'll attest to it. We try to let the people know, we're sorry we were tied up on another incident. But a lot of times that's not good enough for them. And quite frankly, at that point, they're having a crisis and they need us. It's not fair to them as well. And the point about it is, I remember what the mayor was talking about in the city. I grew up in this city, being downtown and everything else. The stuff we're trying to do with our young officers in this department, community oriented and trying to bring notice to it, that's going to be gone. It's going to be a reactive department. You get a call, you go to it, you get back to the station, you get done, you have to get done. That's it. That's it. No more directing traffic. And again, I know our mini bikes and our abandoned vehicles are a big thing. It's going to be even worse.
Thank you, Jim. One last question, just to clarify, the new vehicles that you have,
Yes.
okay? Would you please tell us where the funding came for the new vehicles?
Yes. Past practice years ago was we tried to budget it for a police car every year. That's back when we only had, I think, 4 cars at the time. What we did this year is, unfortunately, we had automobile accidents where we totaled 2 vehicles. Those 2 vehicles were placed under insurance, and neither one were our accident or were our fault, so they were replaced. Also, the second thing was we were attempting, because our fleet was getting older, we were attempting to get our fleet back up to date. So what happened is, everybody's aware of the ARPA funds. Well, since the police department were primary responders during the COVID epidemic, we were eligible to use ARPA funds. At that point, I sat with the mayor and the city administrator and said, listen, we have ARPA funds available. And removing that amount from our budget, which we used ARPA funds to purchase a vehicle, which then saved us $86,000 to get it removed from our budget. A police car from purchase to going on the road is about $80,000, roughly, about $80,000 to get it put on the road. So we were able to, I believe, 2 years in a row, we were able to take it off our budget that we didn't have in our budget, but we were using other means. Officers all the time, we have a current officer right now that took on the task, he's applying for grants for us. And when I tell you we apply for grants, we have applied for grants to, for 3 officers to be paid for at a percentage for the next 5 years. And our goal was, if we were able to get that grant, that money would be earmarked, that after that 5-year mark, we still had the money to continue on to keep our officers. We were ineligible. We were unable to get the grant. We tried 2 years in a row. We're going to again try this year. We have officers applying for equipment, vehicles, anything you can imagine, training. But the problem we're stuck in is a lot of them are grants that are matching, or a percentage needs to be put up front in order for us to apply. We don't want to put that burden on the city, so all our grants is, and literally, when we do a search, free police grants. And we do it, but the problem is, it's so competitive throughout the state. And that's the problem that we run into. And again, it's not like even the individual officers aren't trying to do something themselves. They're always online. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, we're successful with getting some grants, but they're not these huge ones. They're like $200 to buy a piece of equipment or something to that effect. The thing about it is with the police officers is they need a lot of equipment to start, but that equipment also breaks. And we have been, as the police department, trying not to burden the city with repairs. We do a calendar sale to save money. Well, that money goes into what we call our break fund. Someone breaks a flashlight, I don't have to come to the city and ask them for, believe it or not, $86 for a flashlight. Hopefully there's enough funds I can replace the officer's flashlight.
Thank you
No
again.
problem.
So, all of that being said, to preempt before we go into the public comments, I just wanted to make it apparent to some that haven't been at all of the Government Study Commission meetings where the budget was discussed in general and in depth, council meetings where we were discussing our budget, and when we approved our budget, and when we decided what direction we had to go. This was the information we were presented with on what choice we had. So the choice was either raise taxes, which we knew wasn't going to be pleasant, okay, and borrow the money to balance the budget, or cut our services by 50%. We chose, as a council and myself, not to cut our budget by 50%. The other thing that you have to understand is our budget has been scrutinized for the last 10 years because of Act 47. So the budget has been cut literally to the bone on just about every aspect there is. There is very little fat in our budget, very little fat. And we are trying to trim it. Every month we scrutinize the bills. We've been scrutinizing the contracts. Mr. Knowles has been exceptional in scrutinizing contracts. Mrs. Arnold has been like our billing.
Sorry. She's my right hand in this whole deal.
So it's not like we've stopped doing any of that. And because of 10 years of cutting back on everything, our computer systems are antiquated. Our fire department equipment is antiquated. Everything we have from cutting budgets for 10 years have put us in the position we're at. The reason Shamokin has the blight issue that it does is because we didn't have proper code enforcement to follow through on that. That's what we're trying to correct. We didn't want to take that same step down the road and cut the budget further and further lessen the services to our citizens. I know it's not popular. I know, trust me, I get it. Everyone in this room understands because we're all taxpayers. It's not like just because my business is in Cole Township that I don't pay taxes in Shamokin. I own 4 other properties. All of them went up. That didn't make me happy, doesn't make anybody happy. My mother's was one of them, okay? It affected us all. So that being said, I will accept citizen comments, but I do ask you keep it to 3 minutes. And please, nothing personal, no personal attacks. If you have a comment about anything that was on the agenda or anything we discussed, please feel free to take the microphone. Announce your name and your address when you come up.
My name is Anthony Floyd. I'm at 806 East Chestnut. I don't know if it's Springdale or Shamokin. Springfield or Shamokin. However, since I moved to this town, there was a lot of racist flags, Confederate flags everywhere, including one near the precinct, a couple of houses down. And I went to the offices, I asked them, to remove these flags, and they told me that the people have the right to do what they want to do because it's their property. And I asked the officer, how would he like if there was a big sign that said, hate white people? Would you appreciate that? And I don't think he would. And that wouldn't be right for anybody to walk around with hate signs, period. So I continued on living in Shamokin. And a 17-year-old man threw a rock in my car. So I grabbed him, threw him on the ground, called the police officer. The police officer incarcerated me, put handcuffs on me, and brought me to the precinct. So I said, hey, hold on, wait. Why did you put handcuffs on me for somebody throwing rocks at my car? The young lady, she said, you shouldn't approach them. What you should have did was call 911. So I said, are you serious? She said, yes. So I received another assault. A young man, we got an altercation, a couple of guys, and I pulled back, and I did exactly what the young lady told me to do. She said, call 911. I called 911. The police officer came on the scene. The guys fled. The police officer chased the guys down the street, and I heard nothing from him. I saw another officer riding down the street, and I stopped and I said, yo, I called the police on you, and I said, hey, I've been assaulted. What's up? He said, sorry, I got something else to do. I never seen something so crazy in my life. You know, I could go on here for hours about it. I was raised different. I was taught that police were to protect and serve, not to lock people up.
Thank you, Anthony.
You're not welcome.
Do we have any other citizens' comments? No. If not, we're going to adjourn the regular meeting and go into an executive session with the personnel and contracts. So adjourn 7:42.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Executive on that either? Okay, thank you.
No, we'll end early then.
What's that?
Things will end early.
All right, I'll be emailing you.
Okay, whatever you need, and like I said, we need